past episodes you had on my podcast was
Yeah.
the fact that I would like to write some sort of book. That's something I like journaling and stuff like that. So I think writing a book of some sort, I just don't, nothing draws me to write right now. Like it's one of those
Right.
things. Like I want to be like drawn to write about something specific.
What are you journaling?
I'm not journaling really anything right now. Like I haven't journaled in a while.
So your like journaling regimen is like when something comes
When
up,
I need it,
you
like
pop it in the journal.
yeah, if I need something like to write something down, like here and there, but usually like I like to just think. Like it just sometimes like car ride's always nice to do that. I know you talked about just driving with no music and stuff, but
Yeah.
like I'll turn on music, but like not necessarily listen to the music. But I'm pretty good at turning off the sounds almost. Like
Right. You can tune them out and
Yeah,
and
and just,
do
like-
what I can do. And there's even times that I can do that. Most of the time I can do that, but it's not 100% the entire car ride. That's why I just kind of created the rule, which I don't. There are random times where I'll put on a podcast or some music, and
Yeah.
just because like I've already done my journal, I've already done my thinking today. Like I need a little escape. It's been a while. It's nice to catch up with some music, but I turn it off like that's my rule, is so that I don't have not only a possible like ADHD, like oh this song, like, and then start singing the lyrics, but I also like am not like waiting for the idea. I'm just stuck and I'm bored until I start coming up with ideas. So I like use it to entertain myself. I'm like, all right, you have 40 minutes. How do you want to entertain yourself? Choose. And then I just start like singing songs and fucking making up.
usually if I'm journaling though, I
crazy.
feel like something's going on in my life where I feel like I need to get that out. I think it's like a good tool for me to have. It's something that I've learned that I just, if I'm not doing it, I'm not gonna like cry about it. But it's also
Right.
like it's nice to know that I know how to do it and have that tool at some point. Because
Yeah.
like it's usually best used for me when things are chaotic. And I mean, quite frankly, nothing's really chaotic in my life right now, which is a positive, and I'm kind of enjoying that. But it's good to know that, and I'll probably, like, my mom asked me recently, like, if I've ever done a gratitude, like, journal, basically, because she's thinking about trying that, and, like, I've done, like, the 3-6-9 method, basically, manifestation, where you write it 3 times, 6 times, 9 times, and then, like, it's supposed to, over time, kind of help you formulate that thought process to go and do it and achieve it, basically, because obviously writing stuff down is better for the memory and kind of, like, manifesting it, quote-unquote.
Yeah, that's what I get out of journaling, and that's why I do it every day, is because writing it down gives me peace of mind that, like, because there's plenty of times where I'm talking to someone, I'm like, I definitely I definitely thought this thought before. So then when I actually write down the thought, I go, I'm not crazy. Maybe I didn't talk to anybody about this thought, but I know, like, this is not the first time I've had this thought, and I'm not crazy for thinking that, because like a lot of times I would just get like, it would lead to a lot of like almost this emotional conversation instead of just being able to have the conversation. I'm just like, no, I've really thought about it. Like, I'm not just making things up right now. Like, this is like I've thought this through. I'm not just bullshitting. And there's still times to this day where I do a little bullshitting, but I've at least learned to preface, like, all right, so we're halfway through this conversation. I just want to let you know, like, I've already discussed all the points that I have done some internal analysis about. Everything here on out is like, this is just a brainstorming sesh. Like, I'm throwing ideas at the wall. If they stick, they stick. If I, want to defend it, it's not necessarily the end of that, that point or whatever. But yeah, I feel like knowing that you remember things better when you write them down, even if I like barely remember what I wrote down, but I know going to it gives me that peace of mind of like, this is better for my memory. So
for sure. If I need to remember something, I'm adding it to my I've done that more with the pod. Add stuff to my calendar. Even if I'm like making a reservation for like a movie or dinner, and it gives me the option to add it to my calendar, even though I know where to go, I still want that in my calendar, just because, like, I don't know, I like the organizational factor of that.
It definitely helps me so much, and that's like been one of the biggest, like, moments of growth, like being with Booth Babe, is realizing, because like I've always known, like, organization, keeping lists, putting things on calendars, and doing this, like journaling or whatever it may be, like writing things down, and especially with the ADHD, like, because out of sight, out of mind, so real. So like putting visuals around in places to
You ever done
help
a
me
vision
remember.
board?
Nah,
I like vision board. I didn't do one this year because like at a certain like I did one last 2 years for 2021 and 2022, but I felt like my vision hadn't changed much. So I'm like, why create a whole new vision? One was like, I don't want to waste a bunch of ink and cut everything out and do all that. But if the vision's still the same, like I know what I'm trying to achieve, like maybe one or two
you're still
different
working
things.
towards it.
Yeah, I know what the goals are still at the end of the day, and I'm not changing much, and that's something that I actually talked with my girlfriend about doing like a joint vision board eventually, like going into next year. It's like we each divide into thirds
I like this
basically.
idea, yeah.
So the middle is what we want to accomplish together, and then we have our own separate. Because then it narrows the number of things that I have to like. Because I do like a giant poster board, and like it limits the number of stuff that I have to do. Cause some of it's just like pointless stuff that I would do anyways. So like it makes it more focused on like the legitimate stuff.
Right.
And I brought that idea to her. I was like, because I enjoy the vision board. It was fun. Like
And then when they're all right there in front of you,
you hang it up and you see it every day.
Yeah, but you can all like. There's a lot of things that I know I want to, in like vision board goals, etc. And I know she has a lot of vision goals, etc. And I like, but when they're both like visibly present on the same thing, you start to realize like how many actually like will link together, or and not just like link because like they can both be accomplished through the same means, but also like, all right, so if this is my goal, this is gonna like, for example, like this is gonna take up all my Saturdays. Well, your goal was to do, more traveling or something. Well, here's how you can do more traveling. Like use your Saturdays to go out and find like a nice little day trip so that you can get your traveling and like these things, while they're not, they're not aligned, they're not necessarily things to do together, they can be organized into a system that like allows both to be successful to make the other, coupled goals just as successful. I really like this idea. I want to like, cause I'm a very good, like, I do a lot better obviously with like visuals and stuff. That's what I was getting at with, especially now that I live with Booth Babe, like she's very good at keeping up with the whiteboard calendar and then we also have like a 1 week calendar that she puts on the fridge. That
shit's important as you're supposed to get older to like just like have it to know, hey,
right.
All right, I have an appointment this week or something like random like that. It's good to know that shit.
And like obviously there's still things that are like further out than this month or further out than the week that like, she will like keep reminding like, hey, just so you know, like, this is the thing that's coming up. Just, this is the thing that's coming up. And then, like, it doesn't completely erase, but I tell her, like, I can't, give you how this plan's going to work out. But the more you remind me, the more it's on my brain. So the more I can start, like, figuring out the other things. And then I'm not just surprised or shocked when it ends up on the calendar. And then also, like, as it gets closer, now it's on the calendar. Now I see it coming up. I'm like, I can just, like, mentally, like, decompress and, like, I don't feel as stressed. I'm like, because like sometimes when I'm just like surprised, like, oh wait, I have this thing coming up, but I was like, oh, but I didn't get enough podcast stuff done. I still have to edit. Like now I'm like working myself in a way that like isn't beneficial to the podcast, or like I'm sacrificing time with friends or family or whatever because I'm like, well, I know I have that thing coming up, so now I have to like adjust my things to make sure I can get this thing done. And like knowing that like that she's just been so good at showing me all those tools that like people used to tell me all the time, like keep up with a list, keep a journal, keep like have a calendar, put like post-it notes, or all these like pieces of advice. Like few of them I would try to implement, but then very quickly stop like using it. Like I even had a calendar in the studio that I've never used. I'm trying to get a little better now, but now that the only reason why I'm like able to actually like be like, I know how important that can be is because for the almost year that she's been living with me, she's kept up with the calendar. I'm like, this makes like my life so much organized. Like I don't just like get anxious about like, wait, what is coming up? What is coming up? I know I have something. What am I forgetting? Like because everything is listed, it's written down. She's very good with the planning. It's like the yin to my yang. It's like what I need to be a better version of me is what she provides in like the organization and the planning and this. Like,
it's cool when you actually find someone that can help you boost that in your life to like keep you on track with stuff. That's definitely something that I've found in my relationship that's really helped me like kind of stay more grounded in the stuff that I do, and to like bounce off like each other on ideas, and like to have someone supportive of what you do. And like I'm a very like or like scheduling person. I love planning, like, so like I'm very on top of shit anyways. So like to kind of have someone be like, you don't need to overplan everything all the time is kind of a beneficial, and like being a little bit more open to just doing random things or just staying in, or just not always having to have a plan all the time. But it's like, for me, like if I think of something, I have to like do it right then, there, now. Like I can't put stuff off, because that just makes me anxious to like not be prepared. Like it might be something with childhood and sports and stuff like that, but like or even school maybe, I just hated not being prepared for shit. Like if I'm not prepared, I'm just going to be anxious, and I don't want to look stupid doing something. I want to be ready for anything. And like I'd rather, like if I'm going somewhere new, for example, I will research like, like say like a restaurant or something, like say it's like in downtown Providence or Boston. I will research not only the menu, but like parking places near it, what it looks like on Google Earth. Like I need to know what I'm getting myself into before I'm actually there. Because like I just get too stressed out not knowing the what could happen. But like I've learned to like kind of roll with the punches. Shit's gonna happen. Shit's gonna be different sometimes. Like you can't account for every single little detail of life. That's not how it works.
So,
I've done that too many times too, where I'll just be like, I'll think that I'm doing what you're doing, or I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'll research the restaurant, and that's it. Like I don't go much farther than that. So like I'll get there and I'll be like, all right, now I gotta Google some places to park. Now I gotta figure out what traffic's gonna be like when I get back home. Now I got, but I won't think about those things until it's happening. So 9 times out of 10, I'm just rolling with punches anyway.
So traffic, I haven't found an app that like can accurately like predict what it's going to be. Like say you're going on a trip to like New Hampshire or the Cape or something. Like I would like to know, but like you can't predict if there's going to be an accident, obviously. But like
I feel like Google's the best with it though.
Yeah.
Google, yeah. Because I feel like
I don't
Apple's
like Waze. Waze
to
tries to give you too many like different like and then
shortcuts,
it's like we're saving you 1 minute. Oh wait, we sent everybody who's using this app the same direction. So here's a new direction. Like it just keeps like updating. It's like we keep saving you a minute. It's like if I just sat in that same thing the whole time, it's like maybe we'll save 1 minute doing the Waze direction. But like headaches, because now I'm driving around a city that I don't fucking know. Like
I hate
off the highway, like.
But that's why I think Google's better, because it's like it just lets you know like, oh, here's what traffic's looking like. Here's what and it'll go based off of also like what traffic tends to be at that time on a daily.
Apple Maps does it too, though.
Yeah,
but it's not as great.
accurate.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not as great, because I went to the Cape recently and like it was like not as accurate as I would have liked.
Like the amount of times that I've used Apple Maps and then like people complain about directions I've been taking, and I'll just be like, I don't know, this is what just Apple's telling me to do, and then I'll use Google, and then no one will complain. Like you will get there usually at the right time. I think the only times I've ever had any issues with any of the maps was going through the tunnels in Boston.
Tunnels are
That's
just
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict accidents. The other day, I saw a wild hit and run. I'm going down.
Like you saw it happen?
Yeah. I not only did I see it happen, I foresaw it happen when the guy sped past me. I was going down to, I was on 95 going towards Providence. But you know the 95 split that's like, is it west or it's like north or south? Like one sends you like deeper into like almost like Warwick, Newport, that one. Yeah. Or the other one sends you up like almost, it's like north to Mass or something like that. It brings you all the way past the mall. So I just got through it. Right now they're doing a lot of like construction. So I don't know how long it is, but there's a pretty good section right at the end of that like weird like construction section where there's a straightaway. But myself and most of the time there's people that are riding that line and because they're not sure, like, wait, am I supposed to go this way or that way? And then I see it happen all the time, like, especially that triangle. Like, with the lines, people cross over like last second, like, oh wait, no, I'm supposed to go.
I hate
like,
people like that. If it's a genuine mistake, I get it, but like some people are just doing it because they want to avoid.
Right. Well, I like practically felt my car move. That's how fast this guy like passed me. I was going slower than the speed limit, but that's always a congested area, so it's already a risk.
Should slow down there, yeah, basically.
Yeah, just go with the flow of the traffic until you finish that split. Like, just go. But this guy is like trying to weave through traffic. As soon as I felt my car go, I was like, oh, someone's passing me, trying to like split. I'm looking ahead. Before he even got close to like where he ended up like crashing, I saw the split that I'm like, he's going for that. He's trying to get, like, there was a truck a little bit behind, and then in the other lane there was a white like big like SUV, almost like a you know, Escalade size, like not an SUV, but like whatever the next, what is that called? Does anyone know? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No.
A bigger white car, and then just like an old beat down truck. And I saw that gap, and I'm like, already the gap is like, if you are Tokyo Drift level like driver, you could probably make that little gap. A motorcycle, it would be a risky gap to make, but I think could easily make that gap. Those cars that like are already, like the white car was already slowing down to like, I'm guessing like, am I going in the right one? Like, I know that that's happening. The truck is like kind of catching up. Everyone's going like 40 miles an hour maybe. This guy is zooming past. I see him and like start going towards that gap. And I'm like, all right, that gap is closed. He doesn't have room anymore. Starts hitting the brakes. But then it must have like opened up enough that he thought like, oh, maybe I can do this. So took his foot off the brake and then like immediately slammed the brakes again because it was like, now he's like really close. He's about to hit him. Didn't like brake early enough. And I think partly because he took his foot off because he hesitated, like went right in between the two cars, mostly like smashed the side of the back side of the white car, whatever. And I don't even know if he touched the silver truck thing. So he's going that direction, hits the accident, goes in front of the white car that he just hit, and just, you just hear this loud screech because the way he hit, the tire came off at a complete angle. So his passenger side front tire, all the other ones were fine, but was like literally like at a slant, just, and he goes to north instead, and then gets off on the very first exit, and you just see like he left himself a trail. So a hit and run, we know exactly where this car is going. It's not going to be, because you took an exit that I know is all, dude, it's been backed. I've seen that thing backed up at like midnight. Like it's always just backed up right next to the mall. He's going down this exit. I'm like, you're leaving a trail. Like cops are just going to follow the trail, find your car. Like you're screwed. And because you chose to do a hit and run, now it's not just like, I was stupid, I was driving a little too fast. Like you could even bullshit your way out of it. Like, oh, they gave me enough room, they slammed on the brake. Like you could have gotten away with like putting them at fault or whatever. Like, or just dealt with, all right, accident, little insurance increase. But now you got a legal problem because now that's a hit and run. Now you're trying to escape. That's like fleeing. And now, like, not only do you have insurance problems.
Probably don't have insurance. That's probably why.
It could have been, there could have been a lot of it. It could have been drugs in the car that he'd rather, like.
Warrant for his arrest. There's a lot of different options.
There's a lot of things that it, like.
Usually it's one of those things if they're going to flee the scene. Like, if you have insurance and nothing's wrong, you're probably going to stay. Like, I don't think if everything's fine in your life, you're going to flee. Like, no, that's crazy.
I think he didn't realize how fucked up his car was. And because he was able to, like, get to the exit and was still able to drive, he's like, oh, I'll just go home. But didn't realize that, like, his tire's, like, about to completely fall off, and you can't drive with only three tires. So I don't know what ended up happening. I was, like, very, like, shell-shocked, and I'm like, and I'm already, like, nervous driving through that little, like, highway stretch, and I just want to get to where I'm going. I don't want to call and, like, have to be involved, have to, like, be part of this case. Like,
He pulled a full New Yorker.
Oh yeah, like
Saw it, not my problem.
no,
Yeah.
it's not
He's
for me.
like,
Like
You know what sucks
That's
is
none
like
of my business.
if you've ever been in an accident, like to not have people like stand up for you though in a situation like that blows. Like if you don't have a witness, I've been in a situation where I got fucked, but like it was like at Dartmouth. I had one of the
like UMass.
yeah, like I got like the double lane, so I was taking a left, going towards like the Target and stuff, and so it's double lane. 9 o'clock in the morning, people are turning in to the school, and the line's going back up the hill basically, so you can't see the other
You're
lane.
leaving campus.
Yeah, I'm leaving campus. So
Okay,
I'm already
okay.
out of the campus, and then I'm taking another left to go towards the Target. Well, I'm like leaving to go on the highway, but regardless, and one lane's turning into school, backed all the way up over the hill, and you can't see the other hill. So a van stops and is like waving me through, and I don't see anyone at the top. So I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, good
I
to
know
go.
it.
I turn, and someone in the lane to turn into the school came out of the lane while I was turning,
Yeah, just
sped up, hit me. And luckily, one of the people behind him was like one of the deans at the school. Stopped, went to the police, told them what happened. They didn't put it in the police report, so I had to go chase the guy down to get his claim, get his phone number as a witness, and I fought it in court, and it wasn't. It was not my fault. I was
That's so
you.
good. Yeah.
it was
I had
huge.
I had a situation where it was I was in Quincy actually, and there's like a 3-point stop. So it's like not even a stop. It's just a intersection, right? So it's like a T intersection. So this side right here on the left hand, they're coming into like the main road, right? And me and everybody else are just kind of going back and forth, right? So I'm actually going to be taking that left, and there was this truck that was coming from that left. He stopped at the stop sign initially, and as I'm like getting ready to pull up, I see him looking the opposite direction and then just pulling out. And I was like, this guy's about to hit me. This guy's about to hit me. And I just tried to like turn a little bit to try and get out of his way, but he just like started hitting the gas and like T-boned me. And I was just like, what the fuck? So when he T-boned me, I started to move out because I was just like, we're literally blocking traffic. And he got to talk to the cop first, told the cop that I pulled out too early, and somehow it ended up becoming a 50-50 accident. And I was like, no, it was not 50-50. He just stopped looking and just kept going, and he T-boned me. So regardless of, I don't know what he told the lady, but regardless of what I said, the accident ended up being 50-50, and I had no one there as like a witness.
Mine was
Everybody else
100% me, and then it became 50-50 basically.
Ah,
So, like-
lucky.
Like I was, because like at the time too, I had like a smaller accident way back when I was like 18 years old at like a gas station backing up. So like my insurance was like just coming down soon.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that like would have fucked me. But like
Right.
luckily the dude went, and I was so mad because like I'm like, how do you not include that into a police report? Like the fact that like it was cleared before I took the left, and then the dude got anxious because he couldn't wait any longer, came out of the line, and then there was no way that I would have seen that happen as I'm already turning. Like it's just impossible to see that. So I got lucky with that accident. But I've seen an accident where on the highway going to a hike at Washington, and like a car like flipped over the median basically. And, like,
wow,
crazy shit. Yeah, like this chick was going like 100 plus. Like I remember we were like probably in the middle lane going like maybe like 70. Same thing. You feel like, and we're driving a truck. You feel it go shake a little bit. You see her just go, boom, just
Right.
flies, bounces off a car, flips over the median. Like we pulled over and everything too. And my buddy hopped over the median and helped with another person pull her over because like it's like 6 a.m. It wasn't like super light out, and like she was in the high speed lane on the other side now. So like she could have just got fucking destroyed.
Wrecked.
Like
Right.
Yeah.
she was so concussed, had no idea where she was, bleeding from the head. Like it was wild.
See, another like reason why I didn't want to like get involved is literally because it's a highway. So wherever I decided to pull over, I'm putting myself at risk just by pulling over to be like, all right, I'm
Yeah, we
here.
knew that too. Yeah, it's sketchy.
So I do have, you know, I feel like certain situations like if it was just a back road, especially in a town that like I know or a city like I'm very familiar with, I would be very comfortable if I witness a hit and run. Like I saw the whole thing. Here's what like that same scenario on, you know, a 40-mile-an-hour back road over here, definitely would have like, I saw that. I'll stay till whenever. Like I'm trying to learn patience and just be a little more calm. Like if I didn't get there at the right time, there's other things that happen in life. Who cares?
I think I was just telling you the other day about the accident that happened at my studio.
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
if you wanted to bring it up because I know
Yeah.
that like just happened.
Yeah, so there was actually an accident. You know how like at my studio there's that tiny little street to go to the back,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so the police actually came up to us to ask us for some information on the whole like thing because we had the cameras all around the building. They were like, "Oh yeah, we need to see like what happened because we're getting two different people saying two different things." Right? So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So me and my mom went to go watch the footage and they were telling us that like, "Oh, apparently the driver said he did a full stop and then turned and then the bike hit him." And then the biker was just like, "No, I was going," and then the guy just like didn't stop and hit me. So we went to go look at it, and the and I can probably show you the video afterwards. I still have it in my phone. But the bicyclist,
But you can't see it here. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
unfortunately. But the bicyclist was going, and the car just kind of like did one of those rolling stops where you just don't actually stop, but you keep going.
The Rhode Island roll, as they call it, though.
Definitely hit the biker, kept going. And if the biker didn't kick off of the front of the car, he would have gotten rolled over.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and the guy kept going, and we were watching the cameras after that. He didn't stop going until he saw 4 other people get out of their cars to go and check on the bicyclist. And then he did a full 3-point turn and turned around.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
That would have been, dude. Like,
I mean, the only reason we stopped in our thing is, I mean, we thought we just watched someone fucking die.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and she easily could have been dead. I don't, like, we were, like, and it made us, it was weird because, like, it was also at a time, too, where, like, the same time period where I'd lost a friend in a Jeep accident.
Mhm.
And it, like, I imagined, she wasn't doing the same thing, speeding like that, but, like,
yeah.
flipped over a median type thing. And, like, just to see that and, like, see it in full time. And then we went and hiked Mount Washington. It was just, it made us appreciate, like, the hike and, like, being
Yeah,
alive a little bit. It was like,
Did it?
damn. Yeah, it made us. It made
Oh,
us
wait, no,
appreciate-
Mount Washington's not the worst. Never mind.
I mean, it was a
I'm
tough.
thinking
that's-
of Everest.
yeah, not
Washington.
Everest.
No, I've seen the signs on Washington that's like, oh yeah, the inclement weather changes have killed people.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no,
I've climbed
100%
it a
up
couple
there.
times.
It's a good hike though. Like
It
it was
is.
definitely one of my favorite hikes. It was kicked my ass, but like it was awesome. But like it made us appreciate it though. Just like
What state is Mount Washington in?
New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire.
It's the highest peak in. I know New Hampshire period, but it might be in New England. I'm not. Don't quote me on that.
Mm.
They have like stickers about it and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's the whole thing.
'Cause-
I hate the stickers though that drive the car all the way up. I don't know.
Oh
if you
Oh,
yeah.
Dude,
Fuck those.
even if you
You're
lost
cheating.
it, don't put the bumper sticker on your car, you fucking idiot. Like,
no,
Yeah.
like that's like that was like our thing. As soon as we saw someone with the like this car climbed Mount Washington, I'm like, all right, you're just fucking lazy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
because I saw people were crying like climbing up that mountain. Like, I mean, they were a little out of shape, but like,
Yeah.
I was like, I can sympathize because this is kicking my ass right now
Right,
too.
right.
But like, I don't know.
Was it a 1-day hike or like you?
Yeah, one day hike.
Yeah.
All our hikes
Yeah.
we try to do in like one day. We'd drive up super early in the morning and
Yeah.
bang it out and then drive home.
But I
An
know.
old friend of mine and I, like, we did the whole presidential trail. And
Yeah.
So Mount
that's
Washington
a
was
hike. Yeah.
Mount Washington was like right in between. So it's just like that morning we woke up to do like the last half of Mount Washington. We were just like, oh, fuck this. Like I promise you by the end of like that entire hike, because I wasn't prepped for that, my feet were bleeding, blistered. I was tired as hell. Like
You have
I
to
had
climb
no
that
energy.
shit too. It's not like a path up Washington. Like it's just rocks that you basically have to climb up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jefferson I think is worse than Washington, honestly. Like,
I haven't done
in
Jefferson.
yeah, because it's like Washington. Like there's even areas where it's like it's not like rocky, like in terms of like you
yeah.
need to climb fully. Like there's like hands and feet places. At least the route we took. But and then I think it was Jefferson. I think that's right after that it's just fucking rock. So your legs are dead by the end. It's just like you're climbing that way, and it's just like fuck this. Okay, I just want flat. I just want flat now.
Yeah, I don't like doing climbs where like I have to legitimately climb. I'm like, this makes me a little sketched out. Like I want I like a little they call it a scramble basically when it's all the rocks everywhere and shit. But like when you have to climb the mountains and stuff, I'm like, bro, I'm not geared up for that. Like
Right,
that's a little
right.
much for me. I like just a casual.
Yeah,
hike.
I'm a mountain hiker, not a mountain climber.
Yeah, there's a huge difference because especially you're climbing, it's towards the like middle of the hike where you're actually fucking tired.
Right,
Fuck
right.
that shit. That's too much.
Yeah. Quick pee. We're back. Didn't actually come up with something to talk about. I know I kind of cut you guys off with the hiking. I was just like, can't really be involved in this conference. I don't got much hiking experience or stories. I know, like, I've had fun going on little hikes and shit. It's not exactly my release. And besides having to pee a little bit, I was like, we just need to change it. Like, I want to be part of my show. That'd be nice. Thank you, Gio, for chiming in.
No problem. Give your audience something different at least.
Yeah, I
new
mean,
voice.
we did make a joke because usually Jared and I are talking
The whole
about
thing.
content.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It's probably coming at some point. Just you can't
No,
avoid it with. We
besides-
always
And
somehow
that's
get
when
there.
you'll hear me just randomly click the like intro music. Just
Besides this exchange, we'll save it for the end when we're plugging promoting. No, so I think, I mean, it's not really new now, but we didn't really go much into it, the last couple times you were on, or even when I was recently on your podcast, like the whole relationship stuff. And I know it's like you're still in the very like early stages. I don't know if you want to share how long it's already been. But I want to say, like, I have noticed since you've, I think I found out, I think I found out through like a Snapchat post or something that you had someone around, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then ever since then, I keep seeing this like new side of you, like something that well before podcasting, when I met you way back in college, and then even through college, like I think this version of you is like really interesting, and it gives me a lot of like perspective to the way someone else, like a significant other, can really bring value to your life. I think it shows me because I have found it personally from experience, but when I look at you now and I compare it to like, those late night conversations about, just sad boy shit or whatever you're going through, you can't trust people, like, woman or whatever, like, and seeing you now just tells me it's like, this is a man who was down low and just hadn't found the person that he's supposed to have in his life to really amplify. And it just reminds me of all the great like memories, stories, and all the like minute details that like Booth Babe like brings into my life. Even when I'm, complaining, stressed, overwhelmed, and like just want to have like a weekend where I'm single, not because like I want to go out and sleep around. I want to be single so that I don't have to, go do this thing with my girl. I don't have to spend time. Like, I can just wake up and decide what I want to do when I want to do it. Like, I don't have that same freedom anymore. But I love that I don't have that freedom because I know what that truly means. So I'm like really curious to like know from your perspective, like how you feel like you have grown. Like what things has she like opened up your eyes to, like who you're supposed to be, how you are growing like as an individual and with this person as a unit.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were gonna say more. Like you were leading up, but yeah. So I haven't really talked a ton about it, to be honest. This is something like I've kind of kept off like my podcast and stuff, just because obviously it was like new and fresh, and it's obviously been growing longer and longer. But yeah, it's kind of like everything that I've been like hoping and waiting for, and I've known that this side was always there. It just was kind of hurt and damaged through just trial and error. And
Right.
It's one of those things where like, I don't think it's necessarily changing who I am, but it's adding to what I already was. And
I like
it's
that.
making me like definitely more conscious of like, I've always like been aware about other people's feelings, but I was in a phase, especially the last couple of years, of kind of just feeling what I had to feel and going through therapy and like talking through a lot of the traumas that I never really unpacked. That all that time being single and processing and like having the struggles of going through different dating experiences led me to where I'm at now. And I feel like this is the happiest and healthiest relationship that I've ever had in my life. And like, it's hard to put in words. 'Cause like part of me does like get like a little emotional about it. 'Cause like, it's just like, you think about all the times that you like struggled, hurt, beat down basically. And it's like, you think back on those and it's like, damn, like those were worth it at the end of the day, like to go through all the shit basically, and like think about those late night conversations and leading into the content that I used to watch and like liking that content. And it, like you said, I've listened to one, I forget what episode it was. I think it was the episode with Vasilis. You were talking about how like that, like summer based, I think it was that summer basically, like that content was like really beneficial into your growth. And for me, I wasn't done with it when you were done with it. I needed more of that. And it became repetitive and a crutch at some point where it's just like go through the motions, watch the content, and be absorbed by it. But I mean, I still watch it here or there more for entertainment, if that. But now I've kind of starting to grow into more of like the person and the vision that I've always had is to have someone to kind of start something real with and start like, and ultimately end goal is like family. That's really what I want. And to find someone that's on the same page, same goals, same vision, like it's definitely opened me up more and made me more conscious about what I talk about too. Like it's not just about me. Like and I've always kind of been aware of that, but like to have someone actually that listens to my content, that supports my content, and my content's not driven on like politics or divisive stuff anyways, but to know that I have someone that does listen and care about me and like truly will give me feedback on how they feel about an episode it's refreshing to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's huge too. Like, you know, I've had to have plenty of conversations about like, once I'm with someone, everything I do, everything I say on this platform has some reflection on her or on my significant other, on Booth Babe. Even if she outright disagrees and we have our difference in opinions and, you know, on whatever topic it may be, it's not just how she feels about what I said. It's also about like who could be listening and what does that mean for her? Not just like if her family or friends listen to it and like now they, you know, like, oh, you're with that guy, like why are you with that guy? But also like if my friends or family listen to it and hear the way, you know, I might talk about her or talk about relationships or talk about or just talk about something that like about me, like I have to think like, you know, my friends or family might think that she's a little different than who she is because, oh, if he thinks that way, then, you know, she must, you know, also agree with that or like, or, oh, he can joke around about everything, so she must have thick skin. It's like, not necessarily. Like, you know, I can make a lot of jokes, you know, back and forth. We have great banter, but I can because her and I are connected. But, you know, like one of my friends listens to this, here's kind of like how I might talk about her, makes a joke that, you know, I would make and it wouldn't be a problem. If they make it at her, it's a little more personal. It's a little more like, so I have to think about, you know, what I do and what I say. And because I, you know, really was opened up to it because of her, it started to make sense on like all the other people around me, my friends, my family, the people I collaborate with, the people I network with, like the people I work with, like all of those people are sort of affected by what I do and what I say on this podcast. You know, even if you disagree with me, the fact that you keep coming on this podcast or maybe I keep showing up on your podcast, if, you know, someone watches this show and would have gone and done your show, but is like, I do not like that guy. Like that guy says a lot of stupid, wild shit. He's not appropriate and you're friends with him. I don't want to do your show now. Like I do have to like take that into consideration. But I also, something very important to me, which I think was really expressed on the same Vasily episode, is being genuine, organic, and authentic. And it's something that I still, like, to this day, try to find that perfect balance of trying to make sure it's clear that I represent myself in the things I say. But I still want to be able to talk about the things I want to talk about, be truthful, be genuine, be someone that you can relate to. And, just like a lot of other situations in my life with the podcast, like learning, like teaching me different social skills and whatnot, like because I learned how much like creating the content can affect the people around me. I also think about that even if I'm not recording, like I'm just going to see friends, I'm hanging out with friends, like those same conversations, the same words can affect their perception of, Booth Babe or my parents or my sibling, like, or my other friends. Like every point in your life, like you are, representing yourself, and part of yourself is all of the people you're connected to. It's a weird thing to navigate through. And I was going in a direction with this, and
I'll jump in on it because like I like what you were saying with like being kind of aware of like the people you associate with and stuff like that. But I also like if you can't differentiate the person you're like interested in talking to versus the people they hang out with, that's kind of immature because like at a certain point, like you're not going to agree with everyone and everything. This is where like the divisive politics stuff comes into play, and why I don't really talk about that stuff openly because like in my opinion, and I feel like you'd probably agree with it, like a lot of it doesn't really matter towards like when you're doing content and stuff, like unless you're
100%.
specifically doing a politics podcast.
Right.
But I think, because I mean, this episode's where like me and my girlfriend, like, she might not totally like the guest or the energy the guest is giving, or maybe likes an episode better than another episode. And same with me, there's going to be episodes I like more than other episodes. But I think it's important to still have that dialogue and to say, hey, what did you like about this episode? What did you not like about this episode? To actually hear that feedback from someone who's listening, not for the guest, but actually for me for once. And like,
wow, yeah.
That's actually been like really like nice to hear that she enjoys like actually listening to me say stuff. Cause like I've kind of like, maybe it's an insecurity in some way, but like I just tune myself out completely when I'm editing my podcast and like promoting my podcast. Like I really kind of fall on my own sword and don't promote myself like that. I never really wanted it like that, but to hear that she likes hearing me talk about stuff in the setting like that. And I think it's also that podcast has improved my conversation skills with her, to listen to her, and even just with therapy, it's the same thing, like to actually work through stuff if there's like anything that comes up. And like luckily, knock on wood, we've been like really good with a lot of stuff and communicating stuff straight up, and we have a lot of similar interests where that stuff doesn't really tend to happen. But it's nice to know that I have the skills to communicate my own personal boundaries, unlike Jonah Hill. You know what I'm saying?
There's a recent topic. No, what about, and maybe there hasn't really been much, but what about some of the things that you do disagree on?
A lot of it tends to be like political beliefs, if that, and
Yeah.
like they're not like crazy differences. But I mean, really, we do agree on a lot of stuff. I'd say interests maybe are different. Like we pretty much agree on like most things. Like I'm a pretty reasonable like I would say I toe the line in a lot of political stuff. There's certain things I definitely say I'm more conservative than liberal, but I would say I'm pretty open-minded to a lot of different perspectives. Like I definitely say always on the podcast, like I'm never going to give my opinion all the time on certain topics, but if you read between the lines, you're going to know where I stand on most issues.
Right.
But like most people are not going to listen to my whole podcast, so that's kind of like my sneaky way around it in a way. But
right, like you'd have to pay attention.
Yeah,
and
most people don't pay attention to anything.
Especially not long form content. It's
that's why I stick with that hour, because it's, I mean,
right. I think politics is one of our biggest differences, but I'm very much so I don't appear like it, because whenever I think something, I just say it. I'm very open to sharing, and a lot of people don't, I guess. I don't create a way to display it or show it. I need to work on this. But like, even when I am giving an opinion or having a stance, I am so subject to change. I think, Booth Babe has kind of learned that about me. So a lot of times, like when a topic or something gets brought up, I start to go to like, a little too much, and I'm just stating all the things, but it's my way of thinking through something. So like, I want the disagreement or the back and forth to continue. I want her to keep pointing out the fallacies or the like the reason why she disagrees with that point and go deeper and deeper. So then it won't be by the end of the conversation that my mind has changed, but my like opinions and stances and like things always like change and morph. And a lot of times it's not the conversation that does it. It's the next day when I'm on my walk, at least the 30 minutes that I'm going, I'm revisiting that conversation. I'm like, all right, so this was my point. The counterpoint that she had was this. How do I truly feel about those two things? And how does that morph and evolve? And then my whole stance on it, while it changes, it might not change to like aligning exactly with hers. But I like, especially early on when, actually, to be fair, it took about like 6 or 7 months before these, like knowing kind of where each other stood. Like I played,
cautious role.
Yeah, I tiptoed around those things.
I still do that, yeah.
But like
certain things, I'm just like, there's just no need to talk about it because you're probably going to disagree on something, and it's just where they stand. There's no need to have that conversation to create some type of issue. Like there's just some things you don't need to like necessarily bring up and talk about.
Yeah,
it's just a waste of time.
But when I have those conversations, I'm truly coming from a place like I want to understand why it is that you think the way you think.
I do have those conversations too as well, though. Like to go down that path, like you're saying, and like
right.
And it's nice to have that space with your partner as well to know that like you could say pretty much what you want to say to get your point across, but like there's still part of it that'll be like I know there's a place that I shouldn't go, and that's something being in a relationship that I wouldn't have like fully understood is like there's some things that you just don't need to say. There's certain things that there's places to go. Same thing with your family. If you're talking to your parents.
Yeah, I had to learn, that, but that was not a lesson I only learned with a significant other. Like I've learned that with like, certain friends. There's certain things that it's just like not worth bringing up because it's not a point of a debate anymore. It's not a conversation. It's like it's a tension builder, and it's not worth having attention. But I remember early into these debates back and forth as I really tried to I'm done tiptoeing. Like, at some point these conversations need to be had because I can't find out after we have 4 children that we don't agree on. Like, I need to know at least the things that we disagree on so I can at least find where I can comfortably sit middle ground. But of course they bring a lot of emotions. The first few times, each time still does, but like it gets a little easier each time the new conversation comes up because it's like, all right, we've been down this. It's going to cause a little emotion, but we can get past it. We don't have to have the whole conversation now. We can finish it later. Like we can just bookmark it as soon as the emotions get too hot, like, and then revisit it. But I specifically like remember during some of these is like, it doesn't matter if I can show you or explain perfectly my opinion and you understand my opinion and you actually go, oh, I didn't see it that way. Now I do. Now you agree with my opinion, or I do the same thing back forth. We can forever disagree on those things. And like the big fear for those types of arguments is like, all right, is this argument leading into an ultimatum? Like you either change your mind or don't. Like my end point was like, I don't want someone like, because if I'm really thinking about like family and children, I don't want someone that if I say, Blue Lives Matter is going to just repeat it because I said it. I don't want you to just agree with me because I think that. I don't want every single thing being told to my kids the same opinion, the same idea. I want me to share my opinion and be like, you know what? Son, I voted this way. I believe in this. And then, in a separate conversation, like, his mother shares, well, this is why, I want to go to, like, I vote this way. And it's like the exact opposite. I want him to get both ideas because I think if we both share our ideas, that child's outcome is 50-50. It's either going to be, I want to just disagree with my parents. So whatever we try to like teach them or like whatever opinion we try to, educate them with, they're just going to disagree because they're disagreeing with their parents, not because they disagree with the point. or they're just going to be brainwashed into thinking whatever we think, and then they're not going to learn how to think for themselves. So I think it's so valuable to find a partner that don't align and don't just change their mind because for sake of the other person. Like I told her how it is important that you have those, different morals, different opinions, different things that you find important, because I want, and when my child's young, doesn't matter what his opinion is, but like I want him to hear both opinions and like learn how to make a stance for himself. Like make the mistake of like just agreeing with mommy to agree with mommy or daddy to agree with daddy. Like because like if I see that happen, I'm gonna call my son or daughter out. Like, no, you're just saying that because I like you want to agree with me. Think of it yourself.
Yeah, I have a point with we could dive into in a second, but kind of to wrap up the relationship stuff, and maybe it'll flow into a little bit more. But the fact of just like, I don't have, and I think this is important too when trying to find someone, is finding someone that you really do have similar interests in, and you could do something like. I really do legitimately like spending a lot of my time with my girlfriend. We do a lot of things together that we both enjoy doing. And I think that's super important. A lot of people will get into a relationship just off sometimes a lot of physical attraction. And it's just not enough. Like, you really do have to find the similar interests and, like, not all similar opinions, but enough where you agree on stuff and it's, like, an enjoyable experience to be with them. Like, there's nothing more that I'd rather do, honestly. And it might sound kind of funny or cliche or corny, but I love hanging out with my girlfriend. We have so much fun together. It's nonstop laughing. It's all the time. Like, and it's night and day than what I've experienced. And it's, like I said, again, to reiterate, like the best and healthiest relationship that I've been in to date. And I'm just excited to see how that continues to grow and develop going into the future and stuff. It's definitely, and I appreciate you pointing out the fact that you've seen the change. Cause like I was actually overwhelmed with the amount of people when I started like kind of posting and like sharing it and trying to be a little bit more open with it, of how many people were supportive of me actually having a relationship. Cause I think I've talked to a lot of people about my struggles and like people were just like very supportive. And I was just kind of like a little like shocked by that, to see how many people do like care that like I finally feel like, or they finally feel like I have someone that really represents my values and like love interest as well. And
I think it for some of the people that have known you, it makes them proud of you, like happy to see you, finding something that makes you better, makes you happier. I think for a lot of, single people that kind of witness that might be supporting you, it gives them hope. Because, if they've had those conversations like you were telling, speaking about like that you and I have had, like, we know where you came from. Like, you came from a very like, hopeless point of view. You were, this is not a real thing. That like,
if I'm going to be honest, as the single guy that wALiE's talking about, it's more so the fact that I don't got to hear more sad boy shit. It's just like, thank the fucking Lord. God, yes.
Even the content, too, TikTok. I haven't made TikTok since January of this year, like, realistically when we started talking. And, like, I was kind of already getting off of that shit anyways, but, like, a lot of that, and I've always been open about that, was attention and validation. Like, that's 100% what it always was, and I've always been honest about that. But, like, I feel like and even like, I remember she took a picture of us on a hike with like her camera, and it was a great picture. And she's like, you should post it. Cause I was like, I would like to post this, but I was like, I don't need to post this. It was just me. I was like, I don't want to post this. Like, cause like,
I'll post this in an album for our kids to see.
Well, I ended up just throwing it on like a story or something. But like at the end of the day, it was like, I know what a post means. Like a post is, you're looking for some type of external validation, because whether you look good or the image is great or the place that you're in, the environment looks pretty, like you're doing it for a validation outside of what you are and in my perspective, my relationship. And I have what I need. I don't need that shit no more. Like I'm happy with what I got. So that was a cool thing to kind of experience, was like, I didn't need to post something. And that was like a huge change. And leading into even just like the content stuff, I'll probably make a solo episode about this too. It's just like the content isn't everything to me anymore. It's not something that I care about making. And I've kind of always never really wanted to be a career content creator type thing. It was just, if it happened, great. Yeah. But my vision has always been about the people around me and having a family one day. That's something I've always just wanted, and to kind of see that more as a possibility instead of being like you said, like kind of hopeless in my dating experiences. That's been really positive for me in changing my mental health. And even my mom asking me just like, have I been anxious lately? And the answer was just like, no, I've just been like really good lately. Just like doing my own thing in my relationship, off social media, doing my podcast, but just like living the life that I want to live. And it for once in my life, probably in a long time, I really do feel like I'm more complete than I've ever been.
That like makes me really happy to hear. And I kind of want to bounce off the point you said, like that picture that you like, I don't want to post it because like you want to have the memory of it. Like it's good to have the picture of it so you can look back, but like in the like if you kind of set a precedent early on that like, all right, we take pictures so that we share, it's like even if you're growing in the relationship, it's like now instead of just you single trying to get the validation and attention, it's like you're trying to get the validation and attention for the relationship, and you don't need that. And I so I like recently went to Florida. It was our first like real vacation,
like get on a plane type shit.
Yeah, get on a plane, like travel. We did Disney and everything, and
how was that on your wallet?
it was very, very feasible, very reasonable.
That's impressive.
It actually worked out.
So are you a Disney adult now, or is that?
No. I'm a Star Wars adult. Very
That's
different.
pretty cool though. Did you check out the what's the place that has the Mario stuff? They had it in the Mario Park.
Oh, I thought that was only in Japan. I don't.
No, didn't they have it in Florida? They just built this.
Do
I'm
you
pretty
look
sure.
up the Mario
thing?
Mario Land. It's like a theme park. I know what you're talking about, but I thought that was.
I was like 100% sure they built that in Florida. I added it to the park.
Wouldn't be surprised. But I don't think because like
it's like
that's
brand
Nintendo.
new.
It's not. It wouldn't be Disney. Disney and Nintendo aren't.
2025.
Orlando.
It could be Universal though.
Universal Studios Japan.
Yeah,
it says Orlando though.
Or maybe they're building it. Maybe
Then Super Mario World Orlando will be perfect for you. Oh wait, but it's Super Mario Florida will be open in 2025.
Okay, because they've shared.
So it's coming.
They've shared it and stuff.
And
So
the
okay. I didn't know if it was
videos
open
or
or
pictures you saw was probably the Japan. Like, hey, we're making it.
No, like it was. I definitely saw it was like in Florida. Like they were testing. I think they might have been testing.
There is one
yeah.
up. There's one Mario themed land in Universal Studios Hollywood.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Maybe it's that.
It's like a part of one of the
studios. Yeah, one
which
of the
is like
parks.
Star Wars.
Yeah, basically, or like the Harry Potter thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it was like that.
But because I like our entire relationship, even well before I met her, I already recognized that like I'm using social media for validate, like without knowing those words or whatever. I just knew I was using it for the wrong reason, like posting for the wrong reason, interacting for the wrong reason. So I've already like started to move away from like posting myself, posting things like because I also was like, I'm here to make the memory, so I want to enjoy the moment. So if we're taking pictures and we're setting a precedent on like, you know, very early on that like we take pictures to like each time you go, like there's going to be at least a part of that date or the part of that event or thing that the travel, whatever you're doing, that's going to be dedicated to finding a place to take a picture for the validation. I was so happy. I mean, she definitely posts on Instagram, like some of the you know, stuff, mostly on her story, but she had a post or two, like, you know, on Instagram. It made, and I didn't really realize it until you were just kind of explaining your side of it, the validation, attention. The pictures that I took, I shared with like my family group chat. I came over, you know, to hang out with my parents for a little bit when I got like a couple days after we got back, and I just handed them my phone. I said, scroll through, like, you know, ask questions. I'll start telling you about like this thing that we did and that. And it was like, it got me to make a second memory instead of just like, you know, if I post it on social media, not only do I not get to have that moment with my parents where like I'm sharing the stories, I'm sharing the things, like, but they also, and some of the other friends and family go, oh, wALiE went to Florida. Like, oh, look at, he went to Disney and he did this and he did that. Like, I already know. So they're not curious. There's not like, they're not, you know, there's not the follow-up moment of like, now I get to interact. I get to tell my story. I get to share a story with someone. I get to share these memories with someone. And sharing memories created a new memory. Like I still have that, like that night or that, late afternoon where I was pacing back and forth on the porch out back and telling my mom about the Disney rides and the this. And like, it was so much more special because like I didn't already get the validation and attention that I would have if I posted it, So now it's like, I'm still seeking that validation and that attention, but I'm seeking it from people who actually care. Not people who are just double tapping and liking or whatever, maybe commenting or, so proud of you. Oh, you look so happy. Like, or the next time I see them, like the small talk starts with, oh, how was Florida? It's like, it's what I want to share. Like I get to share. Like I am still seeking that validation, but I'm seeking it in a personal way.
Yeah, I would say I'm doing, but like I only really share stuff on my stories, if that.
Yeah.
I haven't made like a post about it because I think we've kind of like agreed to keep it more private. It just feels better. Just like the relationship's stronger. It's more to us. I mean, we'll post together eventually. Like it's not like something we're like we need to do this.
Yeah,
to
we're
like
not hiding behind it. Or
like we're sharing each other. It's just not like we don't care. Like it doesn't matter. And like that's a big thing for me as someone who is like very like when I was starting a lot of the stuff was like I need to post. I need to share great stuff. I need to take professional photos. I need to like do da 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 and just get it out there and make TikToks. And now like eventually I'll get back to the TikToks of doing something else. I just haven't really found that niche for myself. Yeah. But I think I'm probably going to be, once I add hopefully a third camera, take a lot of the content from my podcast and just start sharing it. Because I don't really share myself talking. That will probably be eventually what I push out there because I feel like I do say some good stuff on my podcast that I don't really promote at all. So like I think that would be a cool way to use that platform. But it's definitely has changed a lot. And I think it's having a relationship has definitely made me a better man, period. And I think that it's great to see that other people see that too. Because like I feel it. Like I just feel better overall.
I think that's the biggest, takeaway, especially with relationships, because I feel the same way. When you're in a relationship, you're sacrificing a little bit of freedom because the world is not just about you. It's not just like you're not the only one who relies on you anymore. But it's the best sacrifice because what you're sacrificing is not like, it's not just happy freedom. There's a lot of toxicity in that freedom. There's a lot of bad choices that you make. And you start to think about how your choices impact others. So it's like two things that are happening at the same time with a partner that are making you a better person. The first is you are making, your decisions. You're making better decisions because you want to make sure that you can be a better version of yourself to provide or not just like the male, female, provide, protect, etc. But like so that you can be there for that person. And then also like by making those right decisions, you're becoming a better individual because you're moving away from the toxic decisions, the decisions that like I would make. I'm single. I can do whatever I want. I can get drunk on a Wednesday night. I'm not affecting anybody. I can go out on a Thursday night and go to work. It doesn't matter to anyone. So like simultaneously, you're becoming so much better of a person from each action. And like when you find someone that really helps reveal that to you, it changes your world. And you said this earlier, like one of the big things that like I also like felt and I agree with, it's like, it's so cliche, but when you know. And it's all the ways that you feel when you're around that person. But for me, and I'm sure for many other people, it's also later on when you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking like where you were at this point last year when you weren't in this relationship, and what were you doing? What like stupid thing, like how have you grown? Like even me putting in all this effort and like building up this podcasting and content, working with Geo, trying to expand and grow and whatever. Like even if I'm not truly trying to like blast off and promote everything or go crazy right now, like I'm putting in the steps because like I know that me within this career can be so much better of a person to protect, to provide, to be proud of, myself for her, for our children, for our family, like the person that, didn't quit when the podcast wasn't taken off, like, but kept on. Like, that's the message that I want to, like, leave with my kids is like, dad didn't always know what decision to make, but the light that your mother guided me down told me that it will work out if I just keep putting in the time. And like you don't have to just quit because, it's scary or it's this, or like you have more sustainability with the other. Like, you can truly pursue the thing that you want to pursue. You don't have to just work the 9 to 5 because that's what, is going to make the next thing work. Like, that's the message I want to leave with my kids. That's why, like, I found so much more importance. The more I, like, she's made me grow, the greater the person I've become. Like, the more things are, like, obvious and, like, illuminate to me of, like, here's how else I can, make her happier, better, and be better with her.
Yeah, I would co-sign too. Like, when you know, It's just, it's a weird cliche that, like, you always, like, laugh at until it's, like, in your face. You're like,
until
like,
you
damn.
know.
Yeah, and it's just, like, it's just one of those things. Like, I'm a better human being because of her, 110%. And, like, I think that's the message that should be pushed towards the youth, is, like, having someone, whether you're straight, bi, gay, whatever you identify as, like having a partner and loving someone. And if you're able to have kids, have kids. If you want to have dogs, have cats. But, like, having family is so fucking important. And I don't think that's what's talked about enough in our society, especially when it's into politics, is, like, the nuclear family, however you want to define your nuclear family. That's what's going to keep you happiest. Like, at the end of the day, you come home from work every single day, it's your family that you go to. Like, it's not your friends. It's, like, you're leaving your work, you come to your family. Or you're going to school, you're coming back from school, you're going to your family. You go out to an outing, go to a Red Sox game, a Patriots game, a concert. What do? You come back to your family. Like, it's the family that's, like, the base bones of everything. And, like, that's why always on my podcast I talk about family, because family is so fucking important. And it's just sad to see in our society that we don't promote it as much. We don't talk about the family as much. We promote, like, honestly, degeneracy and, like, stupid shit and, like, novelties. And I think that's something that I've always kind of agreed with is, I mean, I'm privileged to come from a really nice family that's still together, and that does also had a family reunion recently where you're able to see the generations, and, like, having, like, my late grandfather's siblings come up to me and, like, you're the grandson that's doing the podcast, because, like, they're not, like, my grandparents, and I don't see them that much, but having them validate that, like, thank you for doing that. Thank you for carrying on Jim's legacy. Like, we really appreciate you doing that and having that recording. And, like, they're like, I listen to it from time to time just to hear his voice. And, like, man, seeing, like, the amount of cousins and family at the family reunion, and, like, being able to bring my girlfriend to that and have her experience the wacky trivia we're doing, and, like, they'd sing and all this stuff, and, like, it's wacky and kooky and, like, definitely white people shit, but, like, it's really, I appreciate all that. And I think that's something that I look forward to continuing, is going into what you're saying, even just legacy. I think legacy is super important.
Yeah, I love that point. Just, like, the only one that you always go back to, whether you want to or not. Like, at the end of the day, you're going back to family. And I think this is kind of like the last point that we should wrap on. It, I think, amplifies that message that social media, when you're seeking validation, like, you're always going to seek more validation, because at the end of the day, like, when you got the validation from strangers, or not even just strangers, but, like, random people, it's like you need to keep getting that validation. But the one comment, like, your uncle or your aunt or whoever doesn't have to tell you every time they see you how much they are validating your podcast by showing their appreciation for doing your grandfather's episode. They only have to tell you once. They can tell you as many times as they want, but, like, that validation that you get, like, is so much more meaningful and lives with you, because, like, you see that person, you know that person, you're going to go back to that person. And that's an extended family. Never mind, like when you get the validation from, your partner or your children,
Or my mom just says when she likes an episode, she tells me right away.
like
What happened?
When like my mom like,
Oh.
are you trying to get us attention to that or?
No.
Like-
No, I just for me, all I heard was your mom always tells me when she. So I was just like, wait,
When
what?
she likes like my podcast. 'cause we
No,
talk-
his mom.
Oh, yeah, but I thought you were talking. I thought
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said your mom.
Oh,
so,
no.
So I was just like, wait. So she watches your podcast.
Oh,
but
she
not
watches
wALiE's?
Gio's working too hard on memes, and that's been throwing me out for the last 15 minutes. I don't know what that fucking is, and I'm just
Do you
trying
know what
not.
that is?
No.
Oh.
Can you show him the Google Doc real quick?
Okay.
Show him the Google Doc.
I saw your flash and shit. I just see colors flashing. In,
Yeah,
like, the
it's
corner of
just
my eye.
it's like not the right time. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm just like- yeah, right. So like a little bit thrown off. He wasn't really fully listening. He was paying attention to whatever nonsense is got going on over there. But yeah, now I lost my point. It's just like, oh, the validation of, I think this is why like I cried on my brother's episode, and like why I usually get emotional when when I get to have my parents or my brother or like my immediate family on. Like those are the most like well, emotional for one, but like just most meaningful like episodes, whether they do well or not. Like it doesn't matter. Like the moment of doing it is so much more meaningful. And then randomly, like a lot more recently, like my dad was like, "Oh yeah, I started listening to one of your podcasts." Like, yeah, I thought it was and like he gave me like a criticism first. He's like, "Oh, I don't really like this." And then like a couple weeks later, he brings up like, "Oh, I watched another one. Oh, it was kind of funny." Like, and points out another thing. So I like consider both of them so equally like validating and important to me. Like, especially coming from my dad, where he's just like, he went out of his way to like listen, and feedback or like critical feedback is a lot harder to give, never mind receive. And that's why like it made me so much more like emotional when he gave me like bad feedback. Not about like the feedback itself. It's just like my dad is trying to help and like set me on the right course. So then when he does give me like positive feedback, it's even more meaningful. And he's really saying something like, "Oh, it's really cool that you guys, or, wow, you guys, you were like, I'm coming back today. You guys were just here till like 2 a.m. last night. Oh, you're coming back already? Like, you're doing a lot of, like, just, like, acknowledging, like, that I'm doing this. And, like, any bit of, like, little success that I see, or, I try to like, explain something to my mom or my dad or whoever, and they're, like, when they start to get it, like, oh, so is it growing? When do you get paid? It's, like, they're not saying, well, if you get paid, are you going to keep doing? They're, like, so it's more so, like, asking like the logistics, like what gets the money, like where do you monetize this? But it's like, when do you get paid? It's like they see essentially a potential that like a lot of times I can't come to in my own brain. Like I don't think I have potential. I don't think it's going anywhere. I have the imposter syndrome or feel like a fraud. I feel like why am I even trying this? It's not for me. But like I just get a comment from like a friend, a family, like a cousin, or whatever, like a friend. I said friend 4 times. And it's just like, those are so much more valuable to me. Like, I don't need someone to just comment like, "Oh, hilarious episode" once and then like, and move on. That's great. But I need it again on the next episode and then the next episode. Like, I feel like it never ends, but like every single thing that my dad has told me is like, still lives deep within me. It's just like, it's what gets me through those moments of like, am I a fraud? Like,
happens when you're doing podcasts. You're gonna feel that, especially in these early days that we're still cranking out episodes. Which
that's right.
We're surviving though. Hey, still cranking them out. That's the important thing. Show up and do them.
So, before I actually do cry, plug, promote. You got that camera right there.
Before I do a quick
Any
plug,
final
I was
plugs?
gonna say this is probably like our best like conversational episode that we've ever done. Just hitting like, obviously Gio's gonna agree we didn't talk too much about content this time.
Yeah, too much.
We got a little bit. We're gonna
but
family.
But the topic when we talked about
that's
content,
a quick edit.
Thank you.
when we talked about content, the topic wasn't content. It was we were explaining how the content has affected relationships or politics or being a better person. I feel like a lot of the previous podcasts, when we talk about content, it's like talking about creating content on content and content, like,
and like the
content's
struggles
topic.
and all this bullshit
Yeah.
about it. And like obviously it's gonna happen. We're both podcasters. We only get to see each other so much to like collab and talk shit about it. But I think this is definitely our most genuine conversation. I think it's people are gonna actually really appreciate how we kind of dove into a lot of this stuff. And I appreciate you for letting me kind of like, this is the first time I really talked about my relationship. I've kind of kept a lot of stuff private for my own personal reasons, but I think it was nice to kind of open up and talk a little bit about how I felt with that. So, but for you guys who like want to listen to my podcast, check out the Carroll Connection at the carrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major listening platforms. Check it out on YouTube. Just search the Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll. It should pop up right for you. And if you want to follow, be a guest, just follow me on Instagram, same @, and we could set some shit up.
You guys heard it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I enjoyed.
Hell yeah.
Peace, guys.